uncles. There were communists, socialists, Zionists, American patriots, anarchists. There was everybody. And in my parents' time, the same thing. There were Democrats, there were Republicans, there were commies, there were we would always have a family get together. People were always screaming at each other, but it was cool. I mean, it was really neat. And I love those things. I mean, I learned so much. I mean, there's none of that now. There's this dead weight of political correctness, and that's it. There's no passion behind the ideas, which, by the way, leads me to believe there's really no commitment to any of those ideas. I mean, whatever they're saying, I don't think they even believe in it. I think they just repeat these things, by rote. But one always thought of the Jewish community as a source of kind of outsider perspectives, of different ways of knowing, of interesting and original kinds of thought. And instead, I look at the Jewish establishment, at any rate, and I see nothing but Battleship Gray and detestation of anyone who disagrees. And, quite frankly, it strikes me as not very Jewish. I mean, there's something very weird about it. I mean, something's gone terribly wrong with these people. And I don't know what it is that, put them in the grip of... I mean, I suppose it was the fact, I don't know, they just, I guess, started out all being incorrigibly liberal Democrats, and just got, stuck there, and that was that. And then sort of the next step was to move from incorrigibly being a liberal Democrat to accepting, all the varieties of multiculturalism and the rest, adding that on. And I always ask people in the audience, say, how many of you are Democrats who raise their hand? I said, what does that mean? I have no idea. I mean, it's just, it just comes with the territory. But, yeah.
Let me ask you a question. What do you think of the percentage chance that Gideon Aronoff wins this battle with you?
Wins the battle with me personally?
Wins this battle. He wants to silence you. That letter, he sent a letter.
He's not. He won't succeed. He won't succeed because he picked the wrong person. I mean, I don't want to sound, like I believe I'm a legend in my own mind, but he's picked the wrong person because I'm not going to go away. I believe in this very deeply. I've actually gotten speaking invitations as a result of this. There's a journalist, a Jewish newspaper in Hartford, who ran a strong story on my behalf. I've got 2 speaking engagements in Connecticut. More speaking engagements are coming in. There was one that just came in from Chattanooga. I'm going to Dallas. I have 4 speaking engagements in Dallas. There are some things that are going to be more difficult. With some organizations, it'll be more difficult, but there are lots of independent groups of Jewish people. In many cases, say, just young retired people who have a current affairs association and meet and can put 200 people into an audience. They can't do anything to stop that. And there are many, many conservative shuls that will not be intimidated by this. And the fact is, the overwhelming majority of my gigs have been in conservative shuls. So, yeah, the reform invitations may lessen, but the slack will be taken up elsewhere. What I'm also hoping, and I've been talking to, I don't know if you know David Kelsey.
Yes.
We've become just kind of buds lately. He got in touch with me when this whole thing started. I'm also hoping that maybe I can start speaking to some Orthodox groups, which I'd love to do. I mean, I've always wanted to do that. So that would be a whole new world for me to address, and it's a very important one. And it's certainly where so many young Jews are who intend on remaining Jewish. So it's people that I would love to speak to. And that could fill a tremendous, if there's a problem with, not as many Hadassah gigs, to be perfectly frank, I'd sooner speak to young Jews. I mean, Hadassah ladies are lovely, but they're getting old and they're not that active. I'd much sooner speak to people who have, are thinking about the future. And it's like, when I talk to people, I say about immigration, this is not about, you shouldn't be thinking about your Bubby and Zadie's immigration, you should be thinking about how immigration is going to impact your grandchildren. That's what you ought to be thinking about. And if I'm talking to young Jews with kids, I would love to do that, and I think one place to do that is within the conservative movement, within the Orthodox movement. And David said he, was going to try to be helpful there. And if you have any suggestions, they would be most welcome. Because I think first of all, it's going to be tend to be a supportive audience. Not that it matters. I mean, I do like the fact that I go into places that people assume are going to be hostile, and I end up converting people. In fact, look, this is why Aronoff wants to shut me up, because I am having an impact out there. People are changing, and I have no doubt. I'm trying to get the money to run a survey, and we've been talking it over at CIS. I mean, Jews are always expensive to survey because you've got to oversample so much. But what I want to do is do a real survey on Jewish attitudes towards immigration, because what AJC does is the classic push-pull. They give people only two alternatives, both bad. One is amnesty, but the other is deport all. And now deport all sounds terribly draconian, and whenever it's set up that way, people sort of swallow hard. The image of people being loaded onto trains sounds kind of Auschwitz-like to them, because that's the only way that deport all, the imagery is appalling. And so they choose amnesty. But they don't want amnesty. And it's very interesting. In the AJC survey, for example, there's two questions on immigration. One says, how high do you rate the problem of illegal immigration? And between the people who say I'm very concerned or somewhat concerned, it's 86%. But it doesn't get to register at all because they purposely don't give them a way to register their position. Now, the people who do good surveying on this are Gallup and Zogby and Rasmussen, and what they do is they give people three choices: amnesty, deportation, or what we call attrition, which is to cause people to self-remove by enforcing immigration law and by enforcing immigration laws and creating an inhospitable environment. Now, whenever that option is offered, 67 to 80% choose it. And my guess is that a strong majority of Jews, given that option, will choose that option. And even if I'm wrong, and I only get 50%, I don't see how this establishment can continue pushing an agenda if we have a survey that says half of your population doesn't agree with you. But I really do believe that we're going to end up finding that Jews are like most other Americans when it comes to this issue. I mean, the establishment's is out of step. I'm not. I mean, I'm where most American Jews are, and certainly where most Americans are. They're not. And I'd love to have the hard data to show that. And I'm hoping that within the next couple of months that we can make that happen.